First event is a compulsory event. The compulsory event consists of 4 heats: an acro heat, a pyramid heat, a toss heat, and a tumbling heat. These skills for the compulsory event represent the basic skills of the sport of acrobatics and tumbling. In this event, each team will execute the same skills for direct comparison. Each heat begins with a starting value of 10, and the officials will be looking for execution, body positions, and stability of structures.
Welcome to the NCATA Division III National Championships. It's the 2 versus 3, Concordia, Wisconsin versus Trine. As, hey, you only missed a couple of movements here in the compulsory acro. Trine going into the double straddle, and then they're going to go inverted. So far, it's been clean, a little bit off on the right side in terms of getting into the position. Now, boy, nice positioning, solid bases, not a lot of wobble. They're going to give a nice toss and a good start so far. They're going to go up into the arabesque from one foot to the other, and boy, both are going to drop. Oh my gosh, catch both of them in trying to go from that 1 foot catch to the, or from 1 foot to the other. So you've got 6 hands holding onto a foot. They throw it in the air, catch the other. Both athletes actually go down. Tough for the Trine Thunder, as Concordia, Wisconsin going to come back, and now they're going to go with their compulsory acro. And here's the deal with compulsory: everybody's doing the exact same elements in acro, pyramid, toss, and tumbling. You're going to see each of these teams do the exact same element. They're all going to start off at a 10.0 start value, because that is the baseline that is given. So from here to Division II, Division I, everyone across the nation, their compulsory looks exactly the same. From there, you're going to get a lot of different types of scores. They've got elements that they must meet within the events themselves, but they're going to have their own freedom to choose their scores, choose their start values, and choose the way that that's going to look. And Mark, a couple of drops early on for Trine, and some of the things that we have to ask. It was an emotional day yesterday for Trine. Trine takes the victory over the host ETBU, but they lose one of their main bases, and the question becomes, how are they going to bounce back from that in what is basically, I don't want to call it a grudge match, maybe just a rivalry between Trine and Concordia, Wisconsin. These two see each other a lot. They actually split the season series 1-1. How do you think we're going to see Trine bounce back today?
Yeah, I think Trine is going to continue to push forward. That's something that their coach, Coach Sutherland, was talking about in the post game. Just talking about that, they've had that mentality all year. They've faced injuries all year and had to overcome insurmountable odds all year long. Tough start with the drop there in the acro event to start things off in the compulsory, but I think they're going to continue to push forward. This is not a team that's going to go down very easily. And then on the other side, a team that we have not seen yet, again, a team that, like you said, they split the regular season matchup, the series with 1-1 here. It's going to be very interesting seeing what they can do. I'm very much looking forward to seeing what Concordia, Wisconsin brings here to the table as the Falcons will take the mat.
Yeah, coming in as the pretty solid number 2 seed. I don't believe there was much of a question of the number 2 seed. So Concordia, Wisconsin going to get started. The Falcons moving into their compulsory acro. This is actually going to be an 8.0 start value, mainly because of that right there. They're not going to go with the back layout or the back tuck. They're just going to go with the straight drop down. So they're going to try and be clean here in this, avoid any of those issues into the, so they're also not going to do the straddle. They're just going to go straight into the inverted with the support. Now they're going to drop off unsupported. Really nice from the bases. A great positioning from the tops. Nice from the bases. And now we move in, and probably not going to see the switch of the legs either. They're going to go up with 1 foot. And, boy, they come out of one of them and now into the arabesque, trying to battle the balance a little bit. They balance it, drop out. And they've gotten started, so they try to go a little bit clean.
Yeah.
They have some bobbles, and so I think for both teams, it's a start at least. Maybe we're going to get some of the mistakes out of the way. We're going to go nice and clean to get things started off. As Trine going to answer, and wanted to make sure that I brought up her name. She was a major part of what they did in Juliana Porco. Porco was the base that wound up. She actually. Something with her knee. I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to speculate, but she's on crutches. She is not competing today. Got that confirmation as they've made all the proper adjustments. They made all the proper adjustments yesterday as well, and going to move forward here as we're about to get into the pyramid. Each of these teams is going to come out with a 10.0 pyramid, so they're going to go for the full compulsory pyramid, and I think as we move through this, we're going to get a chance to see how everything sets up between the Falcons and the Thunder. Still a little bit long judging here. We had obviously the major fall on Trine's side, had a couple of adjustments on Concordia side, so the judges kind of getting set up. Again, in a championship meet, we've got 5 judges as opposed to 3, and it changes some of the things in judging sometimes. Now, we've seen all of the teams do very well, so haven't had too many problems in terms of judges maybe being not necessarily overly critical, but sometimes you have 5 judges, they see a lot more than 3. But we've seen teams really excel this weekend.
Absolutely, we have. And some of the things that you kind of talked about there is the start values. This is what I kind of wanted to touch on here. 10.0s across the board from Trine University. And so we'll look to see how they play it. Like you said, it could end up being probably some significant points taken off due to that kind of fall there at the start of things here. But then looking at Concordia, like you said, not trying to do anything too fancy, looking to play it safe at the start, which is very interesting for a number 2 seed to me. But it's going to be interesting to see how things play out. It may be a closer match than we think before everything's all said and done.
Yes, trying to get in. So a full contingent on the floor, thigh stand straddle pyramid, as up into the pyramid, into the straddle, and a couple of really good straddles for Trine. And the rotation over, a good job from the Trine Thunder to get things started off on the pyramid. And you can hear, so you can see the excitement.
Yeah, they're excited.
You can hear the excitement.
You can tell.
and I think that was one of the deals. They had a conversation over on the side, and then they brought everybody together. They got it reset, and now they're off and running with the excitement.
Absolutely. Yeah, they are definitely fired up, which they have every right to be. I mean, that was a pretty solid go to start things off here. But just kind of looking at just the way things have kind of shaken out here, I'm really interested to see who steps up today on Trine's side of things without Porco. Like you said, out due to knee injury. And so you say you're not a doctor. I'm definitely not either. But it's going to be interesting to see who steps up here, especially when it comes to, as we get into like building the pyramids and things like that. Who's going to be the key base here today with no Porco?
Yeah, I talked to number 9, Lauren Alexander, yesterday after the meet, and was kind of asking her because she said she was the one that stepped in for Porco and was talking about all of the adjustments they were having to make on the fly. And you could just see the relief on her face when it was over, because as we were talking about that, you could see the stress that she was kind of reliving. And then she had this big smile that they still were able to get it done because I told her, I said, well, to just jump in and do that, you did a great job. She said thank you.
Absolutely.
Just had this relaxation. You could really tell the stress that it was putting on her.
Absolutely.
Concordia, Wisconsin going to come out, and they're going to set up their 2 pyramids, each of them with a 10.0, a 10.0 star value. So they're going to go into the full pyramid here. Your top's going to be number 2, Emily Ruka, and number 4, Natalie DeBlay. Number 5, I apologize, Jenna Gardner. Middles, number 10, Gabby Dixon, and 11, Jaden Vale. Boy, a good
hold for the middle base.
Steady. Boy, this is beautiful, and a great couple of straddles. Going to see how a really nice drop down, a little bit of a rotation from number 5, Jenna Gardner. Nothing that's overly egregious. And, a really beautiful set of pyramids there for the Falcons.
I was going to say, that was about as straight as I've seen it I mean, especially from the middle bases, very minimal movement. I mean, I don't know statues who would have stayed that straight.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there was no
hold.
movement. I mean, and the straddles were perfect. God, the toes were high, the legs were wide, and no move. I mean, it was very still. There wasn't wobble. There wasn't struggle. And I think that's the deal. We haven't seen Concordia on the floor yet. I think it's one of the things that's going to be interesting today is we've seen all of these teams. We have an expectation for all of these teams. We don't have an expectation for Concordia, Wisconsin. Those that are watching, that are living in Wisconsin, cheering for the Falcons, they kind of know what they're expecting, and no one else really does. I think that was a really exciting pyramid to see as we're going to set up for the rest of the event.
Yeah, definitely a big-time start here. Like I said, setting the tone. And so even though they're the ones that had to kind of respond here, I think they did a great job of adding even more pressure to Trine here. Let's see how they handle everything.
10.0 start value on the toss. Lillian Boyd. Boy, really nice couple of back tucks. A struggle on the catch, though, has kind of slipped down through the bases was Eleonora Bueller. So Bueller slides down just a little bit, maybe closes off a touch with the on the descent. But a good job, nice height. One of the things that we've really been talking about, a lot of great height, and I think a good setup. Struggles on the catch, though. Yeah,
a little bit of a struggle on the catch, but I think the thing that's going to balance that out is, like you talked about, they got really good height on the toss, and so we'll see how things pan out here as far as the judges goes, if that's something that they will take into consideration. But definitely a strong response there as we head into the next round of things as we await the response from the Falcons of Concordia. But man, not bad at all.
Not bad, and it makes me. I'm interested now. I'm intrigued to see, after such a solid pyramid. You know, a lot of times, and I know it's not always perfect, but a lot of times you can see when you have a real solid pyramid, we see strength also in the toss. I'm interested to see what the toss looks like for the Falcons, as you know, obviously great bases. There was so much solidity on that lower part of the pyramids. Want to see how that translates as it translates into the bases with the throw, also with the top. Going to get an opportunity to see as the Falcons going to be taking the floor here momentarily. And again, they've got a 10.0 start value. As you know, we haven't seen that consistently throughout this meet. I think from here on out, you're going to see it pretty well as today and then tomorrow, as these two teams are vying for a spot in the finals. Against University of Mary Hardin Baylor.
Both these teams, it'll be very exciting to see which one comes out on top, as we've got the Falcons taking the floor right now, getting set to go. So synchronization here on the pyramid, and at the tops we have number 5 Jenna Gardner and number 17 Kirsten Bailey. Good landing right there. And so again, a really good showing. I didn't see a whole lot of errors there. Not a whole lot of movement, Kyle.
Not at all. Yeah, fantastic catches. So not quite as much height as we saw from the Thunder, but clean on the catch and still really clean movement from the tops as they were going through the air.
Absolutely. And so kind of looking at that, I mean, I think the name of the game for Concordia, and again, haven't seen a ton of them this year per se, but it looks like to start things off, they want to start and kind of ease their way into this competition. They're not starting, with a whole lot of flair. I think they're going to kind of build as momentum continues to build as we go on throughout this competition. So I expect to see them as they're continuing to make their way through each of these rounds here. I expect them to start to kind of catch a rhythm and really pull out something to really show everybody what they can do here.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see as it continues to develop. Obviously, kind of pulling back in the compulsory acro, everything is laid out for you. But if you say, look, we just can't compete that, so what we'd rather do is take a 2-point deduction and then take our deductions an automatic 2-point deduction because we aren't going to do the same skills, but we'll take our deductions from there and maybe just kind of get started off and like you said, almost ease into this, trying to ramp up into it, as opposed to maybe trying to do something that you don't do well, have a fall, and then you got to recover from that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, we're looking at, again, with the lower start values in some cases here. We've got 10s across the board, but a couple 8s. From Concordia to start things out, and we'll see the Trine response here.
As a back tuck, they've got 7 ladies on the floor, so not a full 8. You're supposed to have 8, but they've got 7. They go with the toe touch into the back tuck. Had one athlete do a back handspring, and now the back handspring into a back tuck. Really nice. That was really great look there from the Thunder.
Great timing, great synchronization on that one. Landing spot on.
Round off back handspring, back layout, and again, really nice synchronization from the Thunder.
That's
a really nice round of tumbling from the Thunder.
Yeah, really, really nice round for sure. They did an excellent job of staying together. A lot of chemistry on display there. You can tell, or actually maybe you can't tell because with all of the injuries and the mixing and matching that Trine has had to do here over the last couple of days. Maybe this is a unit that hasn't practiced as much together. But one of the things that they talked about, it's the next athlete, next man up mentality for them. So can't really tell the difference. But by the looks of it, that looked like a unit that has been together for quite a bit, and they've done this before.
Oh, absolutely. And so now we're going to get Concordia's answer, and again, Concordia is going to do the exact same thing. I believe Concordia is going to have a full contingent of 8 ladies out on the floor. I'm trying to remember if Porco was in. I feel like Porco was in the compulsory tumbling yesterday, so I'm wondering if maybe she was the athlete that is not out on the floor that was there yesterday. And we're just waiting here for a moment as the Falcons waiting for the thumbs up and the go sign right at the beginning of this meet.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks like they're just about ready to go here. And so we will see here as they get set to approach the mat. But just yesterday we were talking about the history of the white tiger mascot for the Thunder, and we got it on good information that they were kind of talking about the origins here, and the name of the tiger is Storm. And so that was introduced as Trine University's mascot in 2008. And so it was kind of coinciding with their change from, they were Tri-State University, but they switched it to Trine. It was a student-led process too, Kyle. And so what ended up happening is, one of the influences behind Storm was that being the mascot was the visibility of the white Bengal tiger at the local Fun Spot amusement park and zoo, which is a familiar spot in that area. So, hey, the more you know, right?
Look, I'm going to say this much. The fact that there's an amusement park / zoo.
I was getting ready to say that.
I got to make my way up around Trine. As I love zoos and I love amusement parks. You put them together, I don't know what could be better.
Right, I was getting ready to say I love roller coasters and animals as much as the next guy. Probably a little bit more if you talk to my girlfriend with all the videos I watch.
As 8 ladies on the floor, a full contingent. Back tuck, nice back tuck. Had one large step forward, didn't quite get all the way rotated through into the toe touch with the back tuck. Going to come down, lots of explosion. Another step through, struggling just a little bit, trying to get that full explosion into that back tuck. Back handspring, back tuck, big push.
Oh,
and
a
another
step forward. That was on.
So right now, kind of fighting it is Riley Bentley. Bentley trying to make sure she gets all the way rotated through. Running, tumbling now with the round off. Back handspring, back layout. They're going to turn it into the back tuck. And so the Falcons going to wrap it up as
good finish, good recovery.
And it was a good finish, and I think it's one of those things I'm watching. It's always interesting when you see an athlete on the floor who's maybe struggling in an element to watch what happens when they come off of the floor with their teammates. It kind of lets you know. Looks like maybe, Bentley is a sophomore, maybe stepping onto the floor for, I'm not going to say the first time, but they're really celebrating with her. And so I think she's getting a lot of support. Maybe she's new in this element, learned some new skills for this type of element.
Absolutely. And so looks like we are just about wrapped up here on the compulsory. We're going to be heading into the next event, which is our acro event. You got quick speak and right back to YouTube Network.
Second is acro, marks the beginning of the optional portion of the meet. Each team will compete with skills previously chosen with different possible start values. There will be between 2 and 4 athletes in a group on the floor in each of the 3 heats. Heat 1 has 5 elements, Heat 2 has 6 elements, and Heat 3 has 7 elements. The start value is determined by the difficulty and combination of each skill. In addition, each position must be held for 3 seconds. This event demonstrates power, strength, and balance.
All righty, so Kyle, we've got the scores in the compulsory. Trine with the 2.475 in the acro event, 6.20 for Concordia, so already off to the good start. In the pyramid, Trine with a 8.95 in the pyramid, Concordia with a 9.425, which I'm not surprised. They did a really great job there. In the toss, Trine with an 8.625 and Concordia with an 8.975. So a great job there. And then in the tumbling event, 4.875 for Trine and Concordia with a 4.475. So stumbled a bit there. But the overall score, Trine with a 24.925 and Concordia with a 29.075. So they've got the roughly a 5-point lead almost here. So they've gotten off to a pretty solid start. No surprises there. However, I felt like Trine could have gotten a little bit of a higher score. I felt like in the tumbling event, their synchronization was pretty spot on.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those deals from up here and with what we're watching versus what the judges are watching. You know, the synchronization makes it look nice, but they're watching the individual athletes and their technique. As we moved into the 5-element acro now with the back layout, and boy, a lean heavy to the side, but a nice job as trying to get set up. You see the heavy belt on Saul Alexander wearing that yesterday as well. They're going to go into this overhead, trying to get the inversion. A really nice job. Look at how long this hold is.
That's a great hold.
And she's going to come down through the middle.
Great job
on
the
the
base.
what an awesome pike.
Wow, she's holding
strong.
What a
movement. So we saw that yesterday, and we saw her a
job.
little over-rotate at the top. Now this time she hangs onto it perfectly and comes through the middle. That was really fun to watch.
That was fun to watch. Great balance. Great composure up there because, I mean, it's very easy to give up, but she fought through it. Very bare minimal movement, but again, that's where core strength comes in to try to be able to hold that.
Yeah, you know, it said I spoke it a little bit yesterday, and you know, I made a joke of it because I started to saying it at one point, and then it just kind of stuck, and I use it as a term now. But squish strength, the ability to stand there and have someone above you doing all that movement and be able to maintain your position and not move, not allow those arms to go out. That was so beautiful from Alexander. Thought that was absolutely fantastic, and just a great job from, I believe that was Lillian Boyd as the top. You'll forgive me that I didn't get a great look at who that was, but a really nice job from Trine. And we talked about this, it's the back and forth. Okay, so you had the fall, and that was really the biggest issue in terms of the point difference now between Concordia and Trine. But a really great 5-element is going to put some pressure on Concordia, like, hey, can you match this?
Yeah, absolutely. So Trine just completed their heat number 1, 10.0 start value for them. We're looking at heat number 1 for Concordia now, and we'll see how they're able to respond. Actually, that's a 9.95. That's actually – it is a 10.0. Again, papers everywhere.
It's going to be a 9.05 start value here for Concordia. So a 9.95 for Trine. And now Concordia with the back tuck off. So 2 elements down, a couple more to go. They're going to go straight up to the back into the straddle, and then they're going to rotate over into the inversion.
There we go.
And great positioning. Not a lot of movement. They're going to drop off. Now we're going to see what the stability looks like.
Very strong on the base.
Very strong on the base. Not a lot of movement up top. And, boy, are they excited.
They're fired up. And you know they did it right. They did something right there.
Absolutely. As your top, Jenna Gardner right there. And a great job from Gardner. Gardner had a lot of responsibility. They're both in the back tuck, but then also in the straddle into the inversion. And, they're excited about it, and it is the chess matches. So they go a 9.95 with Trine, a 9.05 for Concordia, and really clean for Trine. But we'll take a look at what some of the deductions do. I think Trine's still going to come out on top in the 5 element, just based on their start value and the fact they were able to do it. But we saw yesterday that they fell out of that. They weren't able to complete that, and it really hurt them as the acro events were going on. And it's the game that you play. If I'm going to put out a 9.95 start value with that type of element, there's going to be moments when you don't hit it, but when you do, boy, it's going to be good.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really good. And again, basically a 10.0 start value pretty much here, 9.95 for them, and 9.05, like you said, for Concordia. So, again, little bit of a disparity, but once it comes down to it, I think both these sides – it's going to end up playing out fairly even on the board here. Concordia not that far away in terms of the start value on that one. So that'll be something to watch here going forward.
It'll get even more accentuated now. A 10.0 start value in the 6-element synchro for Trine and an 8.3 for Concordia. So we're going to really start to see that show up. Again, we've got a 6-element, so you're going to have 6 elements in the acro event itself, but it also has to be synchro. So you're going to have 2 groups on the floor as the Trine Thunder are going to take the floor. And we'll call out your tops for you. So once again, your top, Lillianne Boyd, as well as Olivia Hardup. 6 elements are going to start straight into the top with the half round and the toe pinch. A really nice job on that rotation.
Good mount.
A little bit of a bobble. Oh, boy, and going down really hard. Hardup goes down hard. So a back tuck, good back tuck, as they're going to try and get the back tuck in for Hardup, just trying to make sure that they can get as much in.
Yeah.
Again, now the clock becomes an issue. They got 25 seconds remaining. And straight into the heel pinch. Now the back layout.
A little bit of a lean to the left there.
Now with 10 seconds left, they're going to have to really hurry to get this in. They're going to throw to the back. Can they get the foot up? Boy, struggling to get the foot back.
3 seconds to go.
And they're eventually going to get up to the top and believe they're at least going to get partial credit for completing that.
They completed it, yeah. On the landing, though, it's unfortunately not able to kind of stick it there in time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But a lot of credit to Hardup. Going down hard like that and just hopping back up to do the exact same element, that takes a lot of bravery.
That was a hard fall.
And with that type of trust in your teammate and just that type of, almost duty, like, hey, this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm going to go do it. For those of you that are football fans, it's almost like a defensive end that has to go and get smeared by a pulling guard every time the guard comes around.
Absolutely.
Knowing that that's your job to do, even though you're not going to get the glory out of it.
Absolutely. It's again, all about the mental fortitude from these teams. And the fact that they were to kind of bounce back there, again, ran into a little bit of a time crunch trying to complete the element there, but they were able to at least land it cleanly for the most part. We'll see how big of a deduction, though, after the hard fall. Second fall from Trine, so off to a little bit of a shaky start when it comes to stability.
Yeah, and, some of that you almost wonder, where would Porco be in that? If Porco would have been, maybe she would have been that base, and maybe you're thrown off from that. And I think what we're going to see, or maybe not what we're going to see, I'm not trying to predict the future. I think what we have seen to this point is we're seeing the effects of what happened last night, one in terms of emotionally. I mean, we didn't talk about it a ton, but they were really emotional on the floor yesterday. A lot of, I think they were shaken up. One of their athletes got hurt on the floor and got hurt in a way that everybody kind of knew it was a problem.
Yeah.
And so I think you wind up, there's the emotional toll. You've got an exhaustive toll because you're so locked in and focused throughout that whole event. And then when they go home and try and rest and relax. But then also you have the toll of having to make adjustments here now, almost on the fly. You have less than 24 hours from last night to today. And so I think maybe we're seeing a little bit of that as we go on.
Absolutely. And I don't know about you, but I sense that some of the formations for Trine have been not as loose, a little bit more tense. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's a little bit of a rush to kind of get into their formations and things like that. So I don't know if that's playing a factor or so, or maybe it's just me just thinking that everything's being sped up, but it certainly seems that way to me. The feel for me is that they're kind of, playing from behind. I mean, they are behind 5 points, but it feels like they're kind of rushing themselves to get into their sets, and that's kind of caused some of these tough falls here so far.
Yeah, as we're going to have Concordia come out. And so now Concordia with an 8.3, we kind of talked about it. Now there's not a lot of pressure on Concordia. As an 8.3, you're not saying, oh, boy, we're starting from 1.7 points behind. Now you're kind of starting on level ground as, Concordia going to take the floor now. And so we're going to have two groups on the 6-element acro as number 9, Elena Schroeder, as well as number 12, Riley Binley, are your tops. It's just 3 in each group. They're going to go into the set. They're going to go a straight drop off, so not going to have a rotation at all. Just going to go up and down, get the points for the positioning itself. And now into a supported inversion, straight up, and we're going to get a chance to see. We saw this looked really good when they went unsupported a moment ago. Nice job having to rock a little bit back and forth on the left side, but then the drop off, and a good job.
Overall, good hold. And as you can see, their teammates excited on the sideline.
Yeah.
Once again, I mean, there's no guessing as to whether or not that was a successful goal.
That's right. The team and the ladies on the floor are going to let you know if they're excited about it or not. And, Mark, I know we've talked about it, and you've started to pick it up as you've gone through the weekend as well. Just looking at the bases, watching the bases are going to tell you a lot about how the event itself is going. And one of the things that I thought was really good, and you'll forgive me, I didn't get her number. I can't remember it right now. But the base that was on the left, there was a little bit of movement, but she still stayed solid. The movement itself was not necessarily an out-of-control movement, but it was some balance adjustments. And I thought that was really, really quality on her part because it allowed, when it wasn't a crazy out-of-control movement, it allows your top to continue to hold her position. And so you're not having something where you're wobbling, they're wobbling, and then everything comes down.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's always going to be something critical for sure. I mean, that's, again, something that as you're getting used to watching this sport, that your eye is going to fall on here. I wonder, though, as a judge, how you determine what it is. I mean, like we said, we got 5 judges down there. How do you kind of determine what it is that which judge is going to be looking at, a specific part of the routine? There's some judges that are kind of looking at, the movement. Some judges are going to be specifically keeping their eyes on the bases. Some judges are going to be looking at the execution factor. So it's kind of interesting, at least to me, what kind of goes into the planning when it comes to what your eye is going to kind of keep track of for each competition.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Mark, you've actually given me the next question that I'm going to wind up asking all of the people that I know in acro is with a 5-person judge. I think every time I've asked about the 5 panels or the panel of 5 judges, I've always asked about team event, because what happens then is instead of breaking it down into thirds of the floor, they break it down into fifths, and so you have that. But when it comes down to something like a 5-element acro, when there's basically only 3 ladies on the floor, are they all watching something different? Are they deducting from different spots, or are they all just watching and trying to agree on the same things? I actually have never had that question. I've never asked that question.
Yeah.
And so that's certainly going to be the next thing I have to ask.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just, something that kind of was kind of going on in my head is like, okay, so, is this judge on the end deciding that, they're going to pay attention to one part of the competition? Is another judge going to then pay attention to another part? So I think it would be very, very hard, at least, from my perspective, to get them all to agree on.
Yeah.
So I think, at least to me, if I was in charge, I would think it'd be easier to, just have each judge focus on a specific portion of the routine and then kind of bring it all together towards at the end when it's time to kind of tally things up. But that's how I would do it. I'm no expert, so.
Yeah. And Mark, I got to tell you, I'm a little bit baffled right now at the delay in scoring here. As we're going to get the thumbs up now. Typically you only see these long delays when there's a lot of deductions or there's a deviation from what you were supposed to do. And so we're just now getting into the 7 element here as a start value of 10 for Trine, that's what we've seen is Trine is going to throw out big numbers, and we're going to see if they can achieve this as Eleonora Bueller is your top. Bueller with a nice move, good rotation on the toe pinch.
Great rotation, great hold as well.
And a good half round. A little bit of a step from the base, but maintaining some stability. Another half round in there. There goes Bueller.
A tough fall. Yeah, very tough. And I was just getting ready to say Bueller has been one of the better tops that we've seen all weekend. She's been doing a fantastic job.
As Lauren Hillen is her base, and they just got a little bit off. The foot came down on the shoulder. A nice job on the press. They're going to go a 360 off. Oh, boy, as those legs really came apart. 5 seconds remaining. Not sure that they're going to get this in. They're not. They're going to get into a straddle. Nice straddle into the support.
Great inversion there.
Boy, and that's a really good looking support there as Trine wrap it up and another fall for Trine. Boy, it just continues to be a little bit tough. They're just a little bit off. They're just not quite as sharp. I think yesterday what we saw when they played ETBU is we saw, at this point Porco hadn't been hurt, but we saw a lot of sharpness. And there were some things they didn't do necessarily quite well, but they didn't have some of those falls. That one was a little bit interesting. I thought as she comes around on that second half round, it looked like they were in pretty good position. The foot still lands on the shoulder, but maybe it winds up just a little bit forward. The heel hits maybe the front of the shoulder and then slides back. And once that foot slides off, you've got very little chance to maintain. As there's not really anywhere else to step.
Yeah.
When you miss the shoulder, there's not really anywhere else to put your foot down at.
You're kind of walking on thin air at that point. But, yeah, like you said, a little bit more mishaps today. Are more noticeable mishaps today than yesterday, looking at Trine. And again, I don't know. I just get a sense that I don't know what it is. I don't know if the weight of having some of their key players out is starting to kind of weigh on them now.
Absolutely.
But I just get a sense that they're kind of it's a bit of a rush to get into their sets. And as a result, again, when you kind of rush, the process and rush the timing of things, it kind of speeds everyone up, and then mistakes are magnified, and it becomes, more likely that a mistake is going to happen. So, just from my perspective, from what I've seen, it feels like they're a little bit tense.
Well, and I think it's a good perspective to have because, again, when maybe things feel a little bit off, even if you're with everyone that you have been with the whole time, but maybe everything feels off because of who all's on the floor, it is. Everything, you're going to take an extra second. You're going to take an extra moment, and so things aren't going to flow the same as now the Falcons. And so for the first time, we're going to see the Falcons send a 10.0 onto the floor as they've got 4 athletes on the floor. Ruka is your top, a nice movement. And then a half round. Boy, a couple of balance adjustments, but a good job. So now they're going to go into another half round. And they hit the half round, get reset on the shoulders. Looks like they're going to go up for the push press.
That's a solid hold.
Good push press. Jaden Vale is your base.
Wow.
Ruka up top, sets and drops off, and a really nice dismount right there. Feet stay solid on the ground. Set up, they're going to go straight into the support with the rotation.
Wow, that's incredible.
And a really nice job.
Incredible.
Absolutely.
Once again, you don't have to wonder how they did based on the reaction of their teammates, but that was incredible.
That absolutely was incredible, and a really nice job. And you see, I mean, a 10.0, and you see why they sent out that 10.0. They knew they were going to nail it, and so they were willing to send that out instead of pulling back.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that concludes. We'll talk more about it, but that concludes the acro portion of this. We're about to go into the pyramid. We'll give you a sneak what that's like. You're on each of you working to.
Third event is the pyramid event. The pyramid event will be the final event in the first half. In the pyramid event, athletes will build 3 layers in a structure. The start value of each heat is determined by the difficulty and the combination of the entry, structure, and dismount. The pyramid event has 3 different heats with different requirements for each heat. Heat 1 must be an inversion, Heat 2 must be synchronized, and Heat 3 is an open heat. 2 key things the officials will be looking out for are the position of the top and the stability of the structure.
We are back here on the ETV Plus Network. Scores are in with a start value of 9.95 in the 5 element. Trine got an 8.575. Wow, Concordia with an 8.225. And a 3.525 for the 6 element for Trine. 7.475 for Concordia, so a big advantage there. And then for the 7 element, 5.30 for Trine with a 10.0 start value. And in the 7 element, 8.2 for Concordia. Getting a little tongue-tied there, Kyle. Is 17.40 for Trine for the total score. 23.90 for Concordia. So a 6-point advantage there. Overall, Trine with a 42.325. Concordia with a 52.975. So they've got a bit of an advantage right now, and they've got the momentum.
They certainly do have the momentum as we go into the pyramids. And the pyramid here is, we're going to see 3 10.0s for Trine, but we're also going to see a 9.7 and 2 10.0s from Concordia. So now Concordia is starting to really catch up in those start values. As Trine going to start off, we've got a bridge on the bottom of the pyramid, moving up as that middle base.
This is the one that always makes me nervous, I got to tell you, Kyle.
Is going to be number 2, Lauren Hillen. And I believe that is Boyd. It is Lillian Boyd as your top. So just 3 people in this pyramid. We're really fighting on the base. They've got the feet up way by the hips, so having to try to fight breaking at the hips. They're going to go into the inversion.
Good inversion.
And a nice hold with the 3 seconds for the inversion pyramid. A really good start for Trine.
Yeah, that's a great start for sure. But like I said, the little bridge at the bottom, that always makes me nervous. I just tell you. I mean, I just feel like that's in my vantage point, that's an accident waiting to happen. But good execution there from the Thunder, and we'll see the Concordia response here. But a good start to the pyramid section of this.
Yeah, as that was a freshman, Madeline Grafton, on the bottom of that pyramid in the bridge. And we've seen Grafton. Grafton is going to do a ton of bridges here for the rest of the meet. She'll do one, I believe, in each of the pyramids, and she's going to be involved in the pyramid bridges for the team event as well. So she's got a lot of back bending to do here in the near future.
Yeah,
but she's done a good job, and she's a solid bridge at the bottom of that pyramid. She took it kind of hard. The injury happened yesterday, and I think she felt partly at fault after the Porco falls off of her, but she's done a really good job of recovering and has been very solid since and has been solid today.
Yeah, she's been very solid since that point in time, and just kind of looking at the way that she's been able to recover. Again, maybe the reason why that always kind of makes me nervous is because it makes my back hurt just thinking about having all of that weight on your hips and your legs there. But again, this is something that they practice a lot of, and so these athletes, they know what they're doing here. Just got to kind of remind ourselves that this is the reason why they're here.
That's right.
They understand what they are capable of as a team.
Is Concordia with a 9.7 start value. They're going to start off with a thigh stand pyramid, so your middle base going to get a number as soon as number 15, the moment that I can actually get my paper open. So Ainsley Taylor's your middle base. They're going to go with the inversion on the thigh stand, so it's going to be right in the shoulders. They're going to go up, hanging on as point going way to the right.
Yeah,
they do a good job with the catch. Avoid too much of a step, as your top was Kirsten Bailey. And really saw that at the top. Started off pretty well, started to see the lead, and then when they started to come out of it, I got a little bit nervous because where we are, we're literally right in line with that, and they were just a little bit lower than our eye line. We're up above the stands. You could really, it was almost in slow motion that you saw her drifting that direction.
Right.
I started watching bases to see were they going to be able to move enough to make that catch.
Yeah, that was going to be a tough one for sure, but great job, able to make the catch, able to make the recovery there. But so far, pretty good job, pretty good response there as we just completed heat number 1 of the pyramid. We await heat number 2 here. But so far, again, the thing that I'm really interested to see here is how Trine continues to bounce back. That has seemed to be the common theme for them throughout this meet, is having to bounce back, whether that's injury, a bad set, bad fall or so. And so I'm going to see if they're going to start to be more composed as this meet goes on.
Yeah, as we're about to get into the 6 element, so a synchronized 6 element, 2 pyramids on the floor. Trine again with a 10.0 pyramid. I believe they're going to send out a couple of back bridge pyramids, which is going to push that into a 10.0. Won't have to go inverted for this one, as Grafton is going to be your bridge base on the right. On the left, boy, we've got 2 number 18s listed, not a number 19. So it was number 19, I believe. Take a look, see if I can figure out who that is. And again, here comes the adjustment, as on that left side, Lauren Alexander is going to hop in for Porco. Alexander fighting it. We see a little bit of wobble. Boy, try not to come down, and going to come down
early
on the back.
Yeah. Yeah, came down a little bit early.
Yeah, came down early and honestly didn't complete. Comes down early and comes down to the back side as well. A nice job from that back base, though. Sorry, the spotter. Spotter makes sure that as she's coming down, Bueller doesn't come straight down on the base. Make sure that she moves her to the side a little bit. So a lot of quality there from the spotter in the back, and just a little unfortunate as we're talking about it, that's where Porco would have been, and so you wind up having that adjustment that has to be made, as a couple of 10.0 pyramids, very difficult pyramids with a lot of Stability issues, obviously. I mean, boy, anytime you're doing a pyramid that's 3 levels high, but there's only 3 people involved, you require a lot of stability to avoid any of that wobble and that movement.
Absolutely, and then that's where it comes into play, that word safety. So, yeah, you definitely want to make sure that not only are you confident in what you're trying to execute here, but that the safety measures are in place here. As we see Trine continuing to kind of practice here, the next element of this pyramid set. But again, that's going to be kind of the big key here as Concordia looks to approach the mat.
And a 10.0 coming from Concordia. So, again, the 6 element, or excuse me, the synchro pyramid.
Yeah.
Mark, it's kind of humorous that I think we're getting to the point, you and I, where a lot of water and some caffeine is going to be needed here at halftime.
Right, absolutely.
You keep saying the same words over and over again, and while people at home are hearing them maybe for the first time today,
right,
it feels like we've said it about 1,000 times to this point.
Right.
But the Falcons are going to come out for the synchro pyramid and a 10.0. So the Falcons with the pyramid here and the next pyramid at 10.0 is. We kind of picked it out in the compulsory event. The base is very strong for Concordia, very stable, so they're going to pull back where they need to, but when their bases can shine, they're really going to let them shine.
Yeah, their bases are very strong. I haven't seen a whole lot of movement from their bases all day. So standing straight as statues just about.
So a couple of back bridge pyramids as Grace Partain is your lower base on the left. They go into, I believe, a straddle here. And look at how still that is.
Wow.
That's so good. The straddles look great as well. They're going to drop off.
They kind of inch up a little bit.
And even synchronized in the dismount, a really nice pyramid from the Falcons.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing that was so impressive, not just the mount and the precision that kind of went into that, but the straddle afterwards. And so kind of watching that again, this has been just a really good, precise unit here today. The margin of error for Trine, very, very slim against this Concordia team. So they've been pretty impressive so far.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with the bottom and middle bases. I mean, well, we saw it in the compulsory, and now we're seeing it here. There's just not any movement. And I know that's the way it's supposed to look, but, I mean, you still have to appreciate that there's just not any movement. Yeah. There's no wobble. They get set. I mean, they're in concrete. And so from there, it's all about execution at the top, which is really allowing the tops to do their job. And, the more that the bottoms will do their job, it moves up, and then the top can do their job really, and everything looks the way that it's supposed to look.
Yeah, absolutely. And so far, Concordia, really good, strong showing as we head into heat number 3. Trine waiting in the wings here to approach the mat. But, yeah, no, they've been very, very solid, putting a lot of pressure here, showing why they got a 10-point lead right now. And I think right now they've got the advantage in this pyramid set as well.
Yeah, as Trine's going to come on the floor, and this is the best pyramid that Trine has, and it's a fantastic-looking pyramid as Bueller's going to come through, and she's going to go into a pike and a nice view from the side as she's going to show you how high those toes are going to get. Another backbend bridge at the bottom. Bueller goes up to the top. She's going to pull those legs up and through, and look at how high those are. Boy, they're up with her nose. A great look. She's going to have a front layout, drop straight down to the ground.
That was great.
And a great looking pyramid, and a really nice job from the Thunder.
I think that was their best looking dismount.
That was absolutely
they
fantastic.
Went right into it.
Yes,
so,
they did.
Again, continuing to step up here and just kind of shake off, a couple of, tough sets, a couple of bad rotations here and there. But they still believe that they're in this thing, which they very well could be. But, again, like we were just saying, that was probably the best dismount that I've seen out of Trine so far here today.
Oh, and absolutely. And I think it is one of those situations where, you have those falls and you have those stumbles, and you kind of just start asking yourself, okay, well, then what's the worst that can happen from here? You might as well go out, do everything I can, have a really good event, and then the next one have a really good event, because in sport you just never know what's going to happen.
Absolutely.
It's why you don't forfeit when you get behind. It's
right.
It's why in the first inning, if somebody gets a home run, that you don't just end the game. It's why you play all 9 innings. I think it's the same thing here. Is you just never know what's going to happen, and I think we've seen time and time again in sport crazy things happen. And I think this would have to be a massive collapse on Concordia's part, and I think the way that collapse would have to happen, I don't want to see that for Concordia.
Right.
But still, it's like, hey, man, might as well go out and continue to do well. And when you put up something like that, I think it gives everybody something to be excited about, because I just – boy, the toes of Bueller were literally up by her nose. I couldn't do that on the floor.
I couldn't do that on my best day either.
I mean, that was just absolutely wonderful. And so you see, I mean, that's a 10.0 pyramid, and that's one of the best in the nation right there.
Yeah, one of the best.
I guarantee you we're going to see that tomorrow during the event finals, and I'm looking forward to see that during the event finals.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to that for sure. As the Falcons will take the mat now, and we will see how they respond here. This is heat number 3, so we'll see how they can continue to put the pressure on, pile on some points. They've got a start value of 10.
As an open pyramid here, a 10.0 start value. Vale in the middle, and boy, a nice save from Vale. They try to go to full extension, and they wind up losing it. And boy, all the credit in the world to Jaden Vale, as Vale, so they try to get to extension. They can't get all the way up. And I thought for a minute they were just going to have a straight fall. She does a good job to bring it back to her shoulders and almost turn it into a reverse press, where she's almost all the way up, comes back down, because when they got about halfway up, you saw the feet and the hands the feet and the hands were still in line, but the elbows and the feet were a little bit out of line, and so got a major wobble, had to come back down to the shoulders, and then they just finish it off. Again, you still get points for the pyramid. You still get points for the setup that you did, even though it wasn't what you were wanting. And moving into halftime, Trine has something to build on. Trine has
absolutely
maybe one of the best things we've seen him do all weekend, and Trine can build on that and say, okay, here's what we're going to do when we come back out and we out of the halftime and we move into the tosses.
And the other thing that we have to take into consideration, too, that I just thought about is the fact that, with Porco out, they've had to readjust some of their sets and some of their rotation, things like that. So that could also be, a factor playing into this. So, but as the points are being tallied up, we're going to head into halftime and try to keep ourselves hydrated and well fed.
It's toss event. In the event, you will see 4 athletes toss a teammate into the air. The teammate tossed into the air, known as a top, will execute a flip or twist before being caught. There are 3 heats in this event. The synchronized toss features 2 toss groups. These groups should look exactly alike and be in sync. The start value of the toss depends on the skills that the top executes in the air. Officials will be looking for height, the top's body position, and tight catches by the bases.
Halftime's over. The tosses are coming next, as we're going to get into the score in just a moment, but don't want to miss out on what's going on with Trine, as they're going to go with their 450 Salto toss and a 9.40 start value. So 5 ladies going to be on the floor. one top. As they're going to get set up, a good view looking right at him. You're going to be able to see left to right, down and up with a 360. Nice back layout, 360. A little bit heavy to the right side as that came down very heavy right on the chest of Lauren Alexander. Alexander wearing that belt. And, boy, she's really hurting as she comes off the floor. She didn't show it on the floor. I watched her all the way off as, boy, with that belt and winds up getting hit heavy right on the chest, but makes the catch. Hey, here's the scores for the pyramid. On the inversion pyramid, Trine an 8.975 and Concordia an 8.475. The synchronized Trine a 6.25, Concordia 9.375. In the open, a 9.425 for Trine and 8.125 for Concordia. So your event total, 24.650 for Trine, 25.975 for Concordia, as Concordia stretches their lead 78.950 to 66.975, but a lot of points left to go here in the second half as you've got your typical 30 points for your pyramids and then 60 points in the tumbling events, and then we got the team event, which is worth upwards of 110 points, probably going to be somewhere around about 105 for each of these teams as, boy, Mark, set up for half number 2. I'll tell you, I got myself some refreshments. I'm feeling refreshed and ready to go for half number 2, buddy.
As am I. Had me a portion of a slice of a quesadilla from Bear Creek Smokehouse. Go on out there. As that's one of our local spots out here where we do our coaches show. Had a little bit of that, and now we're back here, and Concordia has taken to the mat right now with a 12-point lead in the overall competition here today.
As an 8.8 start value, they're going to go up and down with a back tuck, nice with the legs coming through. They come through nice and straight up, straight down, so they're going to get as much of that 8.8 start value as they possibly can. Getting things started off, and again, you know, we're going to beat this horse into the ground, buddy, as a high start value for Trine. Trine completes it, though, has a little bit of a wobble across. Lower start value for Concordia, Wisconsin, and they really nail it. So as we come out, probably going to see similar scores from those two.
Absolutely. And so one of the things that I'm definitely looking forward to seeing here, as we've got Trine with an 8.80 start value here in heat number 2. Concordia right now sitting at a 9.0. How much a difference that really makes here, because it's only like a 0.2 difference between scores. But it's going to be something that I'm going to be keeping my eye out for sure here, where the marks kind of go here as far as what the judges are looking for. So that'll be something to look at here, as, again, not much disparity between the start values in the toss.
No, not really. Is going to start seeing pretty similar from here on out as we look at the toss, an 8.8 and an 8.8 coming up for Trine, and a 9.0, 9.0 coming up for the Falcons out of Concordia, Wisconsin. So we're really going to be very similar at now, and probably we're going to see a couple of the back tuck layouts that we just saw from Concordia. We're probably going to wind up seeing that from Trine in their 8.8 values. But we'll see how Trine builds this going forward. Obviously pulling back just a little bit on the start values with the 8.8s. Can they be clean enough? As now we're going to get the synchro toss. So each group is going to do the same toss and try and do it in the same exact time frame.
So here we go here. Both teams getting set.
And again, a couple of tops that are much different heights, so trying to sync them up is going to be difficult. Down and up with the back tuck layout. Boy, and we talk about the difficulty of syncing that up. I think they did a really good job.
Yeah, they did a fantastic job. Again, you've got number 8 for Trine. I believe that's Bueller, if I'm not mistaken here, because
Bueller
always throws me off with the it always throws me off when they get the helmet on out there. But Bueller, the freshman, doesn't have her height, but a freshman out there getting it done And then I didn't really get a chance to catch who was on the other side.
Lillian Boyd,
for sure. So looking at the height difference, that plays a role, as Lillian Boyd, a junior out of Martinsville, Indiana, doing a fantastic job there on the synchronization.
Yeah, a really nice job, that back tuck layout, and I thought they did a good job as well going up and down. Bueller maybe got a little bit back, and on the screen it would have been to your right. You saw that base kind of caught heavy right on the chest, but nothing that was too egregious. Probably going to be a pretty good score there. Not going to lose too much out of that 8.8. And interesting to see how the 9.0 is going to go for the synchro toss for the Falcons, as the Falcons, when in lining up a large lead, just trying to hang on to that, they're going to go with the back salto layout, and so they're going to have the fullback layout. They're not going to have the tuck to it, which is what gives them the extra 0.2 and bumps it from an 8.8 to a 9.0. Is right now. I'm not sure what music's going on, but we have kind of a Cotton Eye Joe going down.
Right,
down
yeah,
on
I
the
was
Concordia
seeing that.
Sideline.
It's always funny to kind of check that out in between the competition here. How much fun everybody's having, as the Falcons now have entered the mat, and they're getting set to go here.
So back salto layout from each of these groups. You're going to see the exact same thing, and you're going to be able to see left to right really good with the camera in front of these two groups of ladies, as all four bases going to work in conjunction, down and up, straight up. Well, you see straight lines the whole way. A nice job. A little bit lower maybe than what I expected for a layout.
Yeah.
And not trying to dog on the ladies, but they did a good job getting the feet all the way through in terms of that layout. When it went up initially and they kind of got to what looked like the apex, I was starting to get a bit worried, which, again, why is the guy who hasn't seen him all year worried? But I think that's the warrior in me. I was like, oh, boy, I want to make sure they hit this. But, boy, I did a really good job. A little bit of rotation on the right side, kind of rotated to the inside on the catch.
Yeah.
But otherwise, fairly clean, a good look from the camera angle about staying in line the whole time.
Yeah, very, very clean. And, again, they've had very minimal movement pretty much all day long. The bases have done very, very well. The flyers have been excellent as well. So I really didn't expect there to be, too much difficulty in terms of them kind of staying stable. They've done a good job all day of really establishing that this is a team that is going to be precise in their movements, precise on their catches and things like that. So, again, very, very solid performance so far from Wisconsin Concordia. Good showing.
Yeah, as they have. They've continued to do a good job. And we talk about it. They're the 2 seed, and they're the 2 seed for a reason, and they weren't really a debated 2 seed. I think as you looked at it, I think – the 3-4, you could have gone either way with it. But I think 1-2, it was like, okay, this is what that is. As Concordia really kind of answering that call. Trine coming out now. They're going to go with the back salto tuck open, as Bueller is going to be your top. So you're going to see the exact same thing that they did last time. She's going to go up with the tuck, and she's going to open on the way down. Tuck up, open. Boy, and you see it once again. We saw that earlier. She goes kind of right through the middle of them, where she doesn't get that full open all the way. And Bueller, as she comes off, I think maybe she was adjusting her helmet a little bit. Actually, I think Bueller may be a little bit upset. And what happens is you come down and you think about why a knife is able to push through something hard. It's because all of the pressure is on one point. As you come down in that open, if you get broken in the hips, and so you break at the hips, what happens is as their hands are there to catch you, they aren't all overlapped. They're lined up, but they're not overlapped. And so you can go at any point that is going to hit before the rest of your body, you're going to go straight through the middle. They did a good job preventing her from going too low, but this is the second time that we've seen that from Bueller a little bit.
Yeah.
So and again, though, that's such a tiny little thing that if she didn't go through the middle, never would have seen it, never would have even thought about it. But that's where the small segments of this sport really become large pieces, because you can do everything right, and if you do one tiny little thing wrong, you see it show up, and it becomes a big deal. And I think we can relate that to other sports. Everything can go right, but if one person has a problem on this, or one person misses a block, or one person doesn't set up for a throw, that's where the team element really shows up.
Absolutely, and so it looks like she's got a couple teammates kind of consoling her there on the side. Coach Sutherland was there talking to her for a while there. So again, a lot of emotions here, as this is a NCATA Division III tournament, and so Falcons will take the mat. But again, it's a part of that process of just kind of shaking things off. Again, Bueller, a freshman, she'll get better as she goes on here for Trine.
As a back salto layout, so you're going to see straight lines the whole way down and up. You see how straight she goes. That's a really nice.
That's a really nice catch.
A 9.0 start value, and really great job as she goes up, comes down, and boy, lands beautifully. Lines stay straight the whole time as well. So really impressed with that from Concordia, Wisconsin, as they wrap up the toss event.
They've just wrapped up the toss event. We're going to go over into the tumbling event. We're going to give you guys a quick sneak preview of what is to come next, and read you guys on the E+ State Source.
Tumbling. This event has 6 heats. The first tier synchronized group tumbling passes, a duo, trio, and quad tumbling pass. The last 3 are individual tumbling passes. The start value of each heat are determined by the difficulty and combination of skills in each heat. Officials will be looking for body position, continuity of skills, and technique in each skill.
We are back here on the ETBU Plus Network, and after the toss event, the 450 salto, Trine with an 8.725, 8.025 from Concordia, 7.7 in the synchronized, 7.975 from Concordia, and then in the open, we've got Trine with a 7.45 and an 8.8 start value, and Concordia with an 8.45. So excellent display here as we total everything up. 23.875 from Trine, and from Concordia 24.450. So very, very close. Team scores for the total event is going to be a 90.85 from Trine, and Concordia with a 103.40. So still a 13-point advantage right now as we head into the tumbling event. And so far, Concordia's got all the momentum right now, Kyle.
Yeah, they really do, and would love to see as Trine's going to come through and try and work through these tumbles. Or the tumbling passes is trying to actually have higher start values, especially as they move into the individual. But going to start off with the duo for Trine, as Trine with the front handspring, the round off back handspring, back layout, as they're going to wrap things up. And I got to tell you, Mark, I'm a little surprised. I thought it was a pretty good pass.
It was a pretty good pass.
They didn't act necessarily as excited as maybe I thought they were going to, because, wow, okay, the synchronization not amazing, but didn't seem like an overly problematic pass.
Yeah, and you might it may have something to do with I'm not sure what that last exchange. Remember Bueller going off to the side. Maybe the energy of the team's down a little bit, trying to find a way to kind of pick it back up. And so I hope for Trine, they're not, kind of letting a few of these setbacks kind of seep in and affect their energy. That's the last thing you want if you're the Thunder right now.
Yeah, as the Falcons. Boy, I got stuck. I couldn't remember Concordia's mascot. Boy, as the Falcons, I was about to phone a friend for some help there. Yeah. The Falcons going to get started, so their duo is going to be an 8.0 start value. As on the floor right now, we've got number 15, Ainsley Taylor, and I believe that's number 22, Kadia Sanders. So Sanders is a junior, Taylor is a senior. So they're going to start off the duo pass with a couple of upperclassmen here for the number 2 team in the nation. And they're both going to step onto the front of the mat, get started. A little bit of a short run up here into the round off back handspring, and then a back layout 360. Whoa. So a full and a really good job as they're going to celebrate on the mat. Great synchronization, and I think from there, technique looked pretty good as well. Looked like on the back layout, they stayed nice and long. They weren't getting tucked in with the hips or the knees. Stayed nice and long and hit it together in sync.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I was going to say, they basically used the whole mat.
They really did.
I thought they were going to, again, this is the second time since we've been doing this tournament together that I thought, an athlete was going to run out of real estate on the mat. But fortunately, they got to the very edge. Not a whole lot of room left to work with, but pretty good job of connecting there. The synchronization pretty on point. Not a very long element there, but they got the job done.
It really did, and they went from the extreme left side of the mat to the extreme right side of the mat. They were both had about just 6 inches left at the end. As the trio coming up, as the 3 athletes on the floor, is going to be Bueller, Welsh, and boy, looking to see, I believe that's number 16. So Hardup. So Bueller, Hardup, and Welsh on the floor for the trio pass with a 7.25 start value. A round off back handspring, back layout. And a good job from the Thunder as they wind up just a little bit out of sync at the end, and that's being super nitpicky on my part, but a little bit out of sync.
Yeah, just a little bit though. Not too much for sure, but great job though of staying on point during the execution. Yeah, the ending a couple of steps afterwards once they were able to kind of stick the landing, but nothing too egregious. And so far, we'll see how they're able to kind of respond here again. I feel like on Trine's side, the energy's a little bit low here. So we're going to see how they can kind of pick things up.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting is actually the strategy here for Trine and Concordia going in opposite directions. So Trine start off 2 7.25s and an 8.0 in the quad. So they're going to up the difficulty in the quad. And for Concordia, they start off with an 8.0 in the duo, and now they're going to drop all the way down to a 6.75, and their quad will be a 7.25. So
yeah, I was just getting ready to say their start values a little bit lower than I thought they would be for the tumbling event.
Yeah, as you know, and so really, I think it's what we've seen from Concordia. They're just going to say, we're going to do what we can do, and we're going to do it cleanly, and move on. On the floor is Katia Sanders, number 22. So I already said, I thought Katia was in the last one, so it wasn't Katia. I'm going to try and get it. No, that is. Oh, I'm sorry, number 11. Jaden Vale, I apologize. I got a weird angle up here, and not only that, but I'm getting old. So, seeing things is getting harder.
Absolutely.
Number 11, Jaden Vale, right in the middle. Number 12, Riley Benley. And number 2, Emily Ruka. So Ruka, a senior. Benley, a sophomore. And Vale, a senior. So got a smattering of classes here. Another short run up, round off, back handspring, back tuck.
Wow, great synchronization.
Yeah, good synchronization, and really stuck the landing too. I think you saw Vale lean forward just a little bit, but that was about it. As a really nice, solid landing. Boy, they hit, they stuck. There wasn't movement sideways or backwards, and I think they're going to take their 6.75 and move on to the quad.
And I was just kind of thinking about this just a moment ago, looking at their start values here. They've got it low at a 6.75. What are the chances that they surpass that and get like a 7.5 or something like that? Just kind of looking at it. Maybe that's kind of one of their tricks, is to kind of keep it low, keep expectations low. They come out, wow everybody, and then we end up, hey, get it at 7.5 or at 8.
Well, while it's a good thought, you actually can't do that. When you say this is what I'm doing, the max that you can score is on that. Now, let's say they accidentally went ahead and did a back layout or a 360 for that matter, then maybe I guess that would change it. I'm not sure if I've ever seen a deviation for the better. Yeah. but yeah, once you determine what you're doing, that's the max score that you can possibly get. As otherwise, you may have a lot of people showing up throwing threes out there, and then all of a sudden, like, oh, I'm expecting a cartwheel, and then bam, there's a 1.5.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just double checking there, asking for a friend. Don't worry about it.
Hey, that's all right. Hey, listen, phoning a friend is allowed on this broadcast.
Absolutely.
And as we're about to go into the quad, and so this is what we were talking about a moment ago. The quad is actually a higher difficulty for Trine. So they're going to send out 4 quality athletes here, as Lauren Hillen on the mat, as well as Lillian Boyd, Lauren Alexander, and number 26, Emma Wilkie. So we've seen 3 of those quite a bit. Wilkie, we haven't called her name quite as much today. But this quad, they're going to go with a round-off back handspring and then back layout 360. And that was great synchronization.
I was going to say, great landing, great synchronization. The execution, very solid as well. So let's see, try to pick it up here. And so far, they've looked sharp. They've looked pretty solid here in the tumbling event. But I think Concordia, once again, just a little bit better in terms of their execution and what they've set out to do here today.
I think so, but I'm also excited to see Trine kind of maybe getting a little bit more life back to them. We talked about, they were a little bit low on energy coming out of the toss event, and so I'm really happy to see them starting to get excited again, really starting to get a little bit loud whenever they do something that they're excited for. It's just what makes the sport unique, what makes it fun in those elements is. So now we move on to Concordia, and so Concordia with a 7.25 start value. So again, a little bit lower here in the quad, kind of taking a look at who's going to be on the mat. Is going to be number 5, Jenna Gardner. So we've seen Gardner in a lot of top situations. Gabby Dixon, a junior on the floor, as well as number 17, Kirsten Bailey, and number 27, Frankie Evich. So Evich, the first time I believe that we've called her name, and she's going to show up here in this quad pass, and the quad pass, a round off back handspring, back layout. So again, watch for at the end, watch for straight lines. Not only are we looking at synchronization, but one of the things to take a look at is as they're going through with this back layout, do you see basically watch from their hips down to their toes? Do you see a nice straight line, or do we see a bend in the knees? Do we see a close at the hips? That's some of the things the judges are looking for.
Absolutely, and so Falcons will take the floor here, and as you said, Out on the floor, we've got number 5, Jenna Gardner. Again, you said she was involved in a lot of top situations. And here we go. Let's see another short run-up for them.
It's a really, even had just a little bit of a rock and a step back. I'm never going a full step back because you could see that as she was set, the weight kind of went from her toes to her heels, and then just a small step back. Otherwise, pretty good. Maybe you saw on the rotation through, saw just a little bit of closing of the hips as they move through that element. But again, now it's about how clean can you be and just continue to put points on the board.
Yeah,
it's just about avoiding the major disaster at least where you are now, because let's be very honest, we talk about the fun, we talk about the enjoyment. The whole point of this thing is to play on Saturday and try and lift the trophy at the end of Saturday. And so now for each of these teams, for Trine, they need to continue to compete, but for Concordia, they should say, just keep doing what it is we're doing well.
Absolutely, and I got to tell you, I mean, you just gave me some news there, because we've been up here for so long. I thought it was Saturday. I forget that it's today is Friday. I'm thinking Saturday. I'm like,
that's absolutely right.
I'm thinking tomorrow's Sunday this entire time.
Oh, I traveled most of the day on Wednesday, and then we're up here all day on Thursday. But it almost felt like it pushed the week back a little bit.
Right.
Thinking today's Saturday, tomorrow's Sunday. I'll tell you, by the time Sunday gets here and I'm driving home, I'm going to have no idea what day it is.
Absolutely. It's just one of those weeks where you just wake up. It's like, is it Thursday? Is it Friday? Is it Saturday? It's just day.
That's right. As Trine's going to get started. Trine starts off with an 8.60 tumbling pass. Going to be an aerial pass here for the Thunder. It's going to start in from the corner, number 26, Emma Wilkie. As Wilkie gets a start in, front handspring, front punch, round off, couple of back handsprings, and a back layout. Really nice job.
Very
and
nice.
Not just a back layout 360. So really good job from Wilkie and the Thunder.
Very, very nice. And again, she did a great job of really being able to get to her spots and stick with the execution of it. And then coming out of it, the landing, a little bit of a stumble, but not anything that would, at least, to my eyes, to our eyes, that would cause a major deduction or anything like that. I thought she was able to stick it well.
I thought so. And you saw in the aerial portion, you have to do one element without your hands. That was her front tuck. So I call it the front punches, kind of from the gymnastics, or excuse me, the cheerleading world. They call that the front punch. The front tuck. She comes in, front handspring, front tuck. That's where her aerial aspect comes in. And then from there, it's just let it rip, lady. And she did a great job. A lot of back handsprings through there and used all of them once again, starting at the far corner of the gym. And it's one of the things that we've seen. And I think it's a unique element of this sport is that you get in home versus away elements is you learn how many steps you need in your own gym. When you go to another gym, a gym that maybe is wider or narrower, can kind of throw you off at times. I think it's why we've seen,
that's true,
for UMHB, we saw an athlete start in the hallway.
Right.
We've seen duo passes that needed to start at a corner where normally they start on the sides. So a little bit unique to see.
Absolutely. And then the thing about it, too, is that I want to bring up another track analogy. When you're doing the relays, when you're on your own track, you know how many steps you need and things like that. You go on a different track, it's a different feel. You have to adjust.
As the run in, really nice coming across. Is she going to stay on the mat? She does.
She does, wow.
And hits it well. And what an eruption from
Absolutely.
The Falcons and from the coaches as well. Boy, a big hug.
Yeah, wow.
As hitting that really great. Ainsley Taylor, the senior from Alto, Michigan. That was an 8.60 start value. And, boy, really nice job as she comes through and finishes with a couple of back handsprings and the back layout 360.
That was fantastic. I mean, she did a great job. And once again, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I thought she was going to run out of space here.
Well, you heard me in the middle of it. I'm talking, going, oh, my gosh.
Right, I'm like, she might not even stay on the mat.
Well, and part of it is because she's such a tall athlete, and she had so much momentum coming forward. I think it was one of the impressive things about her run was it wasn't just that she was doing it well, but it was that as she was doing it, she was continuing to gain ground. There was momentum moving forward, and so she was covering space, and she wasn't getting into these situations where she was kind of doing a back handspring right in line. And so as she was covering that ground, you start to get a little bit nervous. You go, oh my gosh, here we go. Are we going to finish it?
Right.
I'm glad that she did. I was quite frankly getting a little bit nervous.
Absolutely. And then, yeah, like you said, I mean, when you got an athlete with that much height advantage there, a big stride. So she's taking up a lot of room on the mat as she's getting into her routine. But, again, I'm happy she was able to kind of stay on. But, again, it just speaks to the talent and the versatility of these athletes. When you've got an athlete standing at, 5'10", 5'11", almost, at least from here. I don't know. When you're 5'6", everybody's tall to you. So, I mean.
I completely agree.
So, I mean, she was able to stick that and execute it very, very well. So, once again, Concordia continuing to pile on the points. And I don't expect anything else different here.
That's right. As Lauren Alexander steps up for the 6th element, an 8.85 pass for Alexander. A couple of whips coming in, so we're going to go a round off with a whip, another whip, back handsprings, followed by a back layout 360. And a good job from Alexander. Alexander has a really nice pass as really kind of was starting to run out of steam at the end, finished it really well, though.
Yeah, she did finish it very, very well. It's always very impressive when you've got back-to-back whips in between your routine. That's very hard to do because it's kind of a break in momentum. Then you have to kind of reignite your legs to push off to then get back into your routine to finish things off. Very, very tough to do.
It is, and a really good job from Alexander. As we've seen, she's been fantastic all weekend long and has filled in some spots, has continued to do what she does well, and at times has battled through a little bit of pain. So I got to tell you, as Alexander is a senior, I think she's wrapping up her collegiate career on a real high note as she's been fantastic all weekend long. The Falcons going to start off with their 6th element, and it has a 7.75 start value. On the mat is number 12, Riley Bentley. Bentley, the sophomore. Excuse me, number 17, Kirsten Bailey. Boy, I am all over the place. Kirsten Bailey, the freshman. So she's going to start off with the 6th element and probably a little bit of a short run-up. She's not quite starting all the way back at the wall that we've seen some other athletes do. And typically when we've seen those athletes start at the wall, it's because they're needing more space. Looks like she's going to get started right away
she doesn't need a big leeway here to get herself onto the mat. We'll see how it works out for her here for her routine.
So Kirsten Bailey gives a big smile and a wave to the crowd before she gets started in. Front handspring, front tuck, and then has to go with the round off, 2 back handsprings and finishes off on the back layout. And a little interesting there is you kind of saw a left turn from her, I guess left from her perspective, right from ours. She was going diagonal, and then I think when she came out of the, I believe, the front tuck, she got a little bit off. The round off took her to the side, and then she almost finished it off going straight at the Trine sideline.
Yeah, she did, and I thought I saw a little bit of a cartwheel in there, unless she just kind of did it so fast that
it might have turned out as a cartwheel. It might not have actually been the round off. Might have had to turn into more of a cartwheel, just trying to get her momentum back because you did. You saw on that front tuck, she lost a little bit. She kind of wound up on her heels on the landing and couldn't really move directly into that next element.
Absolutely. So as we kind of look at the replay there, she got to the tail end of the mat, which I guess is the theme of the day. Let's see how close we can get before we could fall off the edge of the mat. But, yeah, I mean, a tough routine for sure. Made it look easy at certain points of it, but really interested to see how the judges are going to kind of score this one. It was a 7.75 start value, so we'll see how it goes here.
as Trine now with the biggest tumbling score, at least potential score of the day coming up in Lauren Hillen. Hillen, the junior out of North Carolina, she's going to go with a full and a half, so a round off back handspring full and a half, which is 540 degrees of rotation. That means when she takes off, she's going to be facing the direction that she's coming from, and she's going to land facing the camera that's looking right at her right now.
Absolutely.
As going to be and it's a powerful, explosive pass that you have. These full and a halves, and you know, as those that are watching, one of the things that I don't think we've really reiterated a ton over the last couple of days, but these are dead mats. This is not a spring mat.
Yeah,
so
no give whatsoever.
Yeah, a full and a half requires a lot of air, and that's a lot of power that is generated purely from her body, not from the mat itself.
Yeah, that's what makes it all the more impressive.
And not only that, Hillen with a short run up here. Round off back handspring 360. Nice job. Or excuse me, 540 is she kind of has that hop forward, and really has the hop forward because she's got so much momentum going through. There's got to be so much explosion, and she does a really nice job with it.
Absolutely. So did an excellent job of kind of finishing it off. Is kind of waiting for the replay to kind of show up here. Like you said, there's a 540 here in the open with a possible start value of 9.75. But I think she did a great job overall of really executing that one. A little bit of a stagger at the end, but overall a great job from Lauren Hillen.
There's an 8.0 start value now for number 22 of Concordia, Wisconsin, Katia Sanders. As Sanders going to try and wrap this up, an 8.0 round off back handspring, and then a full, so the back layout 360. And it's the same pass that you just saw minus a 180. So she's going to take off from facing the direction that she's at right now, and she's going to land facing that same direction. So she'll be facing away from the corner that she's running to.
Yeah, so
and you can see the difference. I mean, so it's the exact same movement, and yet there's a 1.75 point difference because of that extra 180 degrees. Shows you how difficult that extra 180 degrees really is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, once we get to the tumbling, I mean, everything looks difficult.
Round off, back handspring, full, with a nice job from Sanders.
Nice finish.
Sanders with a fist bump for her coach, and we're about to head into the team event after we wrap up the tumbling.
Yeah, so we have just kind of been able to wrap things up here with the tumbling. We'll be back with the scores from the tumbling and the start of the team event, the coup de grace of our number 2. And stay here on the Plus Net. We'll be right back.
Is the team event. This event is everything you just watched in the first 5 events. The team event features up to 24 athletes on the floor at one time, performing skills in acro, toss, pyramid, and tumbling in a routine set to music. Key items for officials to evaluate include synchronization of skills, stability of the structures, body position, and technique of the tumbling. This is a very fast-paced event, so be sure to keep your eyes on the mat.
We are back here on the E2B Plus Network, and in the tumbling event, Trine with a 5.925 in the duo, 7.275 from Concordia, so still with the advantage there. 7.25 start value in the trio for Trine, a 5.1 score. And for Concordia, 5.575 in the trio. In the quad, 6.95 for Trine. And for Concordia with the start value 7.25, 5.625. So a little bit of a disparity there. 7.875 in the aerial for Trine on an 8.60 start value. 7.95, so a narrow advantage from Concordia. In the 6th element, 7.90 from Trine with an 8.85 start value. 6.775 from Concordia on a 7.75 start value, 8.30 for Trine on the open. Start value of 8.75, 7.425 from Concordia with an 8.0 start value, 42.05 total for Trine, and 40.625 from Concordia. So Trine took the lead there in the tumbling event, 132.90 total points for Trine, 144.025 for Concordia. So they've got a little bit over an 11-point lead right now heading into the team event. So the expectation here is that this is where they're going to really try to pull away, but there's a lot of points still to be had.
A lot of points as Trine's going to take the floor in 93.25 start value here for the team event, and a lot of different things can happen. There's going to be a lot of movement all over the mat. We'll do our best to call out what we see when we see it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like watching kids on a playground, and you're trying to keep track of your kid.
Running, tumbling across the front into a pyramid in the back. So Bueller's going to go up into the pyramid, get that nice pike, really high toes. They're going to really feature that, obviously. And some standing tumbling, going to show the ability and power. Really nice synchronization through the four in the middle. A toss in the back. And the back layout going to go into some more standing tumbling. We're going to go across the mat diagonally. As a full and a half, a couple of fulls, and a couple of back layouts. Moving into the acro element, we're going to have acro diagonally all the way across. 5 acros and 5 inversions up in the air. That's good 50 hold. Toes straight in the air for you.
Yeah, good hold. I'm watching number 32, Ariana McWilliams, doing a pretty good job there as a base. Doing a great job as a middle base as well in a couple of these routines.
Standing tumbling on the right, and then, boy, the feet did come down too early, so she basically goes straight through the middle on the left.
Yeah.
And then running, tumbling across, full back tuck, back layouts, and then a full. We've got 1 minute and 20 seconds left, trying to keep up the energy, trying to wrap up the season here for the Thunder into 3 pyramids, so 3 thigh stand pyramids.
Good hold by the middle bases. You don't see hardly any movement. Wow.
Really good from the Thunder. 56 seconds remaining. Standing tumbling, a heavy part of this element. As everybody moves into a toss position. 3 tosses all going to go up at the same time.
Under a minute now.
The back tuck layout, and boy, down to the knees. A nice job from, I believe that's Wilkie. Winds up keeping the top off of the ground, prevents Lillian Boyd from going all the way to the ground.
Yeah, absolutely. Down to the final seconds here.
Into a press.
Good landing, good dismount.
As the Trine wrap up their afternoon, and as a full team event, like we said, 93.25 points available to them. Did some things really well, had a couple of slip-ups, and largely after that, it's just technical things that the judges are going to wind up taking care of. Again, we said 5 judges on the floor. They have a tendency in team event to catch a few more things. You talked about kind of organized chaos yesterday.
Yeah.
You're just trying to put as much on the floor in different areas as you can.
Yeah, we've got a flag going up there.
So a little
maybe
bit of
a deviation.
A deviation. So something that they said they were going to do that they weren't able to do. I'm not sure if maybe it was on the – I don't know if maybe the toss that we pointed out or if there was another element that they wound up having that they wound up either changing. Maybe it was a tumbling aspect, something like that. Just really don't know. Maybe the next step in advancing this sport is a headset on one of the judges. To
kind of, just get some insight as to what's going on down there at the table. But really excited to see what Concordia is going to bring here because Trine, it looked like they did a pretty solid job out there on the mat, but we'll see what the red flag was for.
As the breakdown from Trine, so each of these, so everything has points that's going to add up to the 93.25. Acro was 18.8 possible points, Pyramid 18.75, Toss 17.92, Running Tumbling 13.79, Standing Tumbling 14.0, and then the dance at the end of 10.0 points. So all that would add up to 93.25, and that's what they're going to take off from. So it's not like they're just starting, all the judges are starting at, 90 points, and we're going to deduct there. Actually, in each individual element, say, okay, so here is the standing tumbling. Okay, this is what we see the standing tumbling, and it pulls back to try and make that a little bit easier on the judges.
Yeah, I would understand. Absolutely. I mean, that's exactly what you want there.
And so as we've kind of seen, Concordia, Wisconsin is going to pull back their total a little bit. They're going to start off with a start value of 91.30, 18.85 on the Acro, 18.9 on the Pyramid, 17.4 on the Toss, 12.94 on the Running Tumbling, 13.22 on the Standing Tumbling, and then 10 for the Dance, which is pretty standard. As their Acro is 0.05 of a point higher, their Pyramid is 0.15 of a point higher. Other than that, everything else is lower than what Trine sent to the floor.
Yeah, it was just very interesting here. And again, the name of the game, I believe here for the finish here is for Concordia to just kind of hit everything cleanly. So that's what they're looking for as they get set to take the mat. We'll see if the judges will give us the thumbs up.
As you know, and there's kind of a point where you wind up feeling for a little bit because the judges taking a little bit. It takes time to judge all of that as they're marking down the deductions as they see them, and then they go back and add it all up. And so with these events especially, it takes a little bit of a while. Coming up next is going to be ETBU and Buffalo State. Excited about that. Both of those are going to be competing in their last event of the season. Some of those will still show up tomorrow, or excuse me, some of the ladies will still show up tomorrow in the event finals, which is a lot of fun. If you've never seen the event finals, I would encourage you to tune in tomorrow at 11, as all of these ladies in everything all of the heats in the Acro, the Pyramid, Toss, and Tumbling are going to compete for a national championship in their specific heat. And it's a lot of fun because there's ladies lined up all across the floor.
Yeah.
There's practice mats all over the place. They show up in the middle. There's people packed in the gym because the teammates that are not competing are actually in the stands yelling for their teammates, and that really creates a fun atmosphere.
Yeah, I can't wait to be a part of that for sure here, as it's going to be a very, very, electric atmosphere, as now Concordia is finally taken to the mat, and we'll see what they do here for the team event here.
So 2 minutes and 45 seconds, a lot of energy, as Concordia has kept up their energy all day long. I would imagine we're going to see that as Running Tumbling across the front with some back handsprings and a back tuck, straight into a couple of back bend pyramids, and we've seen some quality pyramids from the Falcons, as they're going to set up and come through nice and stable, being supported in the middle before they drop all the way off.
No movement from the tops.
Standing Tumbling with walk-in kick, back tucks across the back, 2 back tucks in the middle. More Standing Tumbling. And into the acros. So 5 acros all the way across, as we're going to get 5 press outs all the way up. And nice job. Couple of balance checks, but a really good job otherwise, making sure that they're completing their elements.
Number 2 for Concordia had her arms folded. She was so comfortable in the stance way up there. That was number 2, Emily Ruka, the senior out of Racine, Wisconsin.
So 3 tosses coming all the way across the middle. Everybody set, arms up, down and up with the back tuck layout. Pretty well synchronized. And they're going to move right into another toss. So from one toss into another, Boy, can they get set? A little bit of wobble on the right side. They're going to go with that front tuck layout. A good job. They wound up getting it. I was a little bit worried watching the right side.
Yeah.
But they wind up getting set in time as standing tumbling across, as your eyes are having to go each way.
Yeah, I was going to say organized chaos for sure.
Standing tumbling on the side leads into a couple of pyramids. They're going to go into a straddle, and just really quality pyramids. We saw that earlier in the day.
Yeah, great hold. And I mean, that's what's being put on display right now is they are absolutely, not allowing any type of movement from the bases or the tops.
A lot of tumbling. We've got 30 seconds left, so we're going to go some tumbling passes, and they're going to wrap it up. So back tucks, back layouts, and a full, and a full before we get into a acro element at the right, an acro element in the left, dancing in the middle.
A little bit of a roll at the end here.
As the Falcons wrap it up, and a pretty good team event for the Falcons.
That was a really good team event. I mean, one of the better ones that I've seen since the start of this tournament. So I imagine they get high marks for sure. Or at least if I was the one down there at the table, I'd give them high marks for
That's right.
For that for sure. But great team element. So all that's left now is to await what the final scores will be. We'll be right back here on the ETBU Plus Network as the judges tally everything up, and we will give you the final scores here. All right, the moment of truth, Kyle, as we are just about to have our team event. Trine with the 70.68 and a 93.25 start value. 72.610 for Concordia with a start value of 91.30. And the total score, 203.580 from Trine. Concordia with a 216.635. So the victory for them, 13-point differential there. And so as we wrap up here and go into our final meet of the evening, just overall thoughts here of what these two teams kind of brought to the table.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of a tale of two meets. I think you had Concordia, who was fresh, came off of a rest day yesterday. They had the bye as the 2 seed, and it really came out and did a great job, established it early on that they were going to be clean, they were going to do things well, didn't have a lot of bobbles. Then I think you had Trine. Trine was having to kind of fight back with some emotional fatigue, and I don't want to continue to beat on the ground. It happened yesterday. They made great adjustments, and I think they had some really shining moments that they could celebrate yesterday. And then today, there were still some awesome things that they did. We're going to see a lot of those ladies show back up tomorrow in the event finals, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that because I think that they could take home some hardware in the event finals from what I saw a little bit.
Absolutely, and so we will see here tomorrow as Concordia has punched their ticket to the final events tomorrow as they're going to take on UMHB. They're going to be, going at it with the crew.
And it's what you want to see. I mean, let's face it, when you have a 1 versus a 2, Cinderellas are always nice, but boy, when you've had an established 1 versus 2 all year long, you kind of want to see them meet at the end of the year, and that's what we're going to get.
I personally like those better than the Cinderellas. You can call me boring and cliched, but I kind of rather, 2 high-power teams that have been battling it out all year and really kind of, earning that, that respect. Not that all these other teams haven't had great seasons, but you want to see the best of the best going at it, seeing who comes out on top.
Well, you really do, and I think it's a unique aspect because you had Concordia, Wisconsin, and Trine, who were the 2 and 3 seeds, and they were 1-1 against each other during the year, and the series victory goes to the team in the semifinal that sends the winning team to the final. It just all kind of plays out the way it's supposed to.
Absolutely. And so we'll be right back here on the ETBU Plus network for the final match. It's going to be Buffalo State taking on the host squad, the ETBU Tigers. So Tigers versus Bengals. Tiger and Tigers matching up with each other here. And we'll be right back here in just about 45 minutes or so. Stay tuned.